When I was 15 years old, I woke up underneath a bridge. There was about 4 inches of snow on the ground. I was soaked because I had covered myself with a tarp not knowing better. I looked up and about 10 feet away there was a full-grown man fishing. We looked at each other and he looked away, and that's when I knew that I was on my own. It's a big day today. I finally ordered the new suspension I need for this trailer so I can get it fixed up soon. It was right here, which is the highest ground over here. I plan to build a barn over there eventually. And I've watched this for 6 years and no water accumulates right here. And so I've paid a truck to deliver 12,000 pounds of hay today. And we're just going to drop it right there, and I'll tarp it and store it outside this year. And by the next year, I should have the barn finished and I'll be able to just put it in there. I've been accused of being wealthy or a trust fund baby or a funded YouTube channel, which to me kind of blows my mind, and I'm flattered that people think I'm doing so well. But I came from absolutely nothing, and that's what this video is about. I've been talking to people in the comment section, and the truth is I do everything myself because, well, I'm just broke enough to build my own homestead. And what I mean by that is, the day that you can pay someone to come pour a foundation for you, pay someone to put in your septic system, pay somebody to build your truck for you, pay somebody to pour a concrete slab, to build your cabin, to build your infrastructure, to buy big old water cisterns instead of making them out of cheap liners like I did. You're no longer broke enough to build your own homestead. And it's fine either way. I'm just saying that, maybe I won't be broke forever, but at least when I started, I was just broke enough to build my own homestead. Thought I had the van running pretty great. It ran to town last time real great. And after I moved the trailer, it's running like hell again, but it could be the ECM or the throttle position sensor, which I already have. I bought one. So I'm going to replace that and hope that solves it. If it doesn't, then maybe later I can pull the ECM and blow it off. But I'm trying to at least get it running reliably so I can run out to the main road and lead the guy back. This video is sponsored by me. Check out my website and get my free ultimate guide to off-grid living. Well, I pulled the intake apart, and when I unplugged the mass airflow sensor, it started to run a little better. And I remembered I had an old mass airflow sensor, and I found it eventually. And it was pretty banged up, but I put it in and it seems to be running okay. So I'll order a new mass airflow sensor. But I should be able to go meet the guy out here in an hour or so when he gets out there with the load of hay. So the plan is to build a barn eventually and store this hay properly. And having a tractor would be nice. But the only way I could really do this was to have a guy in a dump bed just drop the load, and I'm doing my best to cover it. And it'll do just fine. I've had no problems over the last roughly 6 years storing hay outside, but eventually we'll put it into the barn. This spot on my land has never held water. It's high ground, so there won't be water on the base of this, and I'll cover it to keep the rain off. And it gives me room to still build the barn behind it. And this is just one of those things, you stock up on food, it saves you money. And buying all this at once saves me a bunch of driving and gas money at the very least, if not maybe a little bit on the hay. If you look at the cabin, it's about the nicest infrastructure on the homestead, and if you look at everything else, it was basically the minimum to get by. Just so happens it's raining pretty good. It's a lighter rain, but it's been running for a while, and this is the kind of rain that's good for the rain harvesting surfaces. So the agricultural shed and the shop, they've got cisterns that are underground, and when it rains long and slow like this, they're more prone to fill up. And the pond and whatnot, that fills up real fast when there's a heavy rain. 30 minutes, fill that whole pond up. I honestly don't even know how long I've been running the oven, but it's somewhere around a week straight I've been running the oven, and it works really great. When you get the fire running just right, the smoke don't even want to come in. even with the thing wide open. The water heater is 50 feet of coiled half-inch copper tubing. It's not in the firebox, so it won't melt. It's in the smoke box, which shouldn't get over 500 degrees, which is about 1500 degrees too cool to melt the copper. It's an open system, so it can't explode or anything. I'm simply pumping water into the coil and back into the bucket, and it's very efficient at making hot water. The dogs seem to really enjoy being able to sit by the fireplace, and Mama Cat really likes to come upstairs and sleep near me. The weather has been crazy, but everybody's Everything Frugal Off-Grid kit is in the mail, headed out today. I've only got 2 left, I think, if you want to get one. I really didn't have much firewood around the homestead, and I had a guy that was delivering a cord, but he fell through. So I cut up some old pinyon I had, which has worked well, and a friend let me cut down some of her dried, dead juniper. She said it must be 25 years seasoned. Well, I had a guy lined up that was going to deliver a cord of wood, but that fell through. And then, of course, it rained almost half an inch last night on my homestead. And that makes the roads pretty messy. But I had already made plans to run out to a friend's place and cut down some wood. And that's what this is. 25-year seasoned wood there. Got to let it dry a little bit. So I've got the last of my pinyon burning to dry it out. And I've got a lot of that juniper, and then it sounds like I got a guy that'll probably deliver on Wednesday. Huh, Mal? Mal likes juniper. He's trying to steal all my twigs. Oh, sorry, buddy. Oh, look at this massive turkey. Hey, guys. It's 48 hours or 2 days before I'm going to throw this turkey into my homemade oven. It's leaking blood and guts all over the place. This sack is not sealed. Little tiny turkey. This is how I'm going to do the brine, is just in a bowl here. We'll just cut this open, throw it in here, salt, garlic, some seasoning, and we'll let it soak for 48 hours. There we go. Yesterday I ran all the way to town. I was going to do laundry, get some groceries. I had to ship some packages and whatever. And then I headed over to a friend's place to cut some wood. Well, when I got to town, I didn't have my wallet. So I couldn't do the laundry. I couldn't get the groceries. It just made things a little more difficult. And then last night when I got home, I got everything put away pretty well, put a fire on and went to bed. And then I hear pop, pop, pop. And I'm like, what the hell? And I come down and I don't know why exactly, but the tempered glass on one side just exploded for the fireplace. I watched it for a while and there was just some big slivers of glass, and there was no smoke coming out though, and I just, I kept an eye on it for a while, stayed awake for an hour or so. There were no issues, so I just let it die down. And then this morning, I had to cut a piece of metal, clean out all the glass, cut a piece of metal to fit there for now. And then the wire that I had used to attach the pizza door wasn't working real good. It was kind of cracking around the edge. So this morning, I pulled it all out, busted out all the mortar, and then drilled some holes into the bricks carefully, hoping not to collapse the whole thing, because I was using a hammer drill, And then I just took some screws, filled the holes with mortar, and then put the screws in. They're only in about 1.5 inches, but I think that'll make all the difference. So the pizza oven door should now be mint, and I put another coat of mortar inside, and I'm just going to let that sit. It doesn't get nearly as hot in there, so I don't need to let it dry for 4 days, I don't think. It's not as important as the firebox, but I'm just going to let it dry until tomorrow. I'm going to make a pie, and then you know, the next day is Thanksgiving and we'll get our turkey going. So the other thing I've got to do today, well, I got to do laundry. I really need to do laundry bad. So I'm thinking I'm going to throw some water in here and see if there's enough heat to heat up some water still and do the laundry in here. Because the worst part about doing laundry when it's 28 degrees is freezing cold water and your hands are just in pain the whole time. So I'm going to try that. And then there's 2 of the windows upstairs need a little more caulk. So I want to get that stuff done, and that's pretty well all I'm up to today. Maybe I'll cut a little bit more of the juniper that I brought home. And then I think tomorrow I'm supposed to get a cord delivered.